Time I'm with Charlie, I'll get at least some new slant on an idea that causes me to.
Charlie,
Yeah.
one of my favorite lines from you.
You must be thinking about Elon Musk.
Charlie's big on lowering expectations.
Absolutely. My wife lowered her expectations.
Investor Charlie Munger, the longtime business partner of Warren Buffett, has died.
Me away from the idea of buying very so-so companies.
The influential investor Charlie Munger, longtime vice chairman of the conglomerate Berkshire Hathaway, has died. He was 99 years old.
1959. In 5 minutes, Charlie was rolling on the floor laughing at his own jokes, and I do the same thing.
With Warren Buffett, Munger built Berkshire Hathaway into a multi-billion-dollar behemoth. They complemented each other in their approach to investments in a very nice way, says David Cass, a finance professor at the University of Maryland.
What I needed to get ahead was to compete against idiots. And luckily, there's a large supply.
Munger was a value investor who liked to buy stocks when a company's share price was low, relative to its fundamental value. But he also believed in the power of trusted brands and in valuing growth. Over the years, Berkshire Hathaway made large investments in dozens of household names, including Kraft Heinz, Bank of America, and Coca-Cola.
I met Charlie, and he was practicing law, and I told him that was okay as a hobby, but it was a lousy business.
Its portfolio included car companies, grocery stores, and insurers. Berkshire Hathaway could not have been built to its present status without Charlie's inspiration, wisdom, and participation, Buffett said in a statement. For Munger, simplicity was a guiding principle. I can't think of a single example in my whole life where keeping it simple has worked against us, he told Yahoo Finance in an interview. We've made mistakes, but they weren't because we kept it simple.
Fun to buy a business where you really hope this sucker liquidates before it goes broke.
Munger grew up in Omaha, Nab, not far from Buffett's childhood home. According to Cass, a local physician introduced them to each other and they hit it off immediately. After serving in the U.S. Army, Munger attended Harvard Law School, where he went on to found Munger, Tolt & Olson, a law firm headquartered in Los Angeles. Today, Buffett may be better known, but Cass says Munger played a big role in what was a really unique business partnership: the abominable nomad. Munger was a straight shooter with a dry sense of humor, and Berkshire Hathaway shareholders saw his personality on display at the company's annual meetings in Omaha, where he and Buffett fielded questions for hours on end. Often, Buffett answered questions at length, then Munger chimed in with something pithy or a perfect one-liner. The audience roared. According to Lawrence Cunningham, a law professor at the George Washington University, Munger was more than a sounding board for Buffett. He pushed him to consider companies that had potential to growth, and he pushed back on ideas he considered to be half-baked. I think Charlie's biggest contribution, besides being a good friend and that stuff, was knowing when Warren needed to be told not to do something, he says, noting Buffett gave Munger the nickname, the abominable nomad.
Fortunately, I listened.
Renaissance man. Munger spent much of his life in California, where he pursued a few side projects. He bought and ran another company called the Daily Journal. He was a philanthropist, and he dabbled in architecture. In 2021, a dormitory Munger designed at the University of California, Santa Barbara, faced a lot of blowback. It would have thousands of bedrooms, but most of them wouldn't have windows. Munger suggested that would encourage students to congregate in common spaces. When Munger was well into his 90s, he told CNBC he lived by a handful of simple rules. You don't have a lot of resentments, he said. You don't overspend your income. You stay charitable in spite of your troubles. You deal with reliable people and you do what you're supposed to do. For him, that was staying away from fads and being a careful, cautious investor. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's longtime business partner, last words before he died. I do not fear death. Life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, "Wow, what a ride." I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born, and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it.